What if there were plans to make a different kind of Star Wars film, one made for urban audiences and starring a black hero, one who may have inspired a gambler named Lando?
Somewhere along the line, my theory is that something happened to this film, and then perhaps elements of Fred Jackson's story made it into Empire Strikes Back.
Inspired by the rampant success of Star Wars and determined to bring his particular vision to the silver screen, Fred used some of his father's old business contacts to find producers like Michael Fink, whose credits included blaxploitation films like Velvet Smooth and Force 4. Working in conjunction with Rene Martinez, director of The Guy from Harlem, Fink had been trying to develop his own black science fiction film called Soul Brother from Space.
Star Wars is a worldwide phenomenon. To this day, even 30 years later, it still affects so many people's lives, and I want my children to have an understanding that their grandfather is connected to that legacy.
Realizing they could potentially make a great deal more money off a Star Wars ripoff film than from their own idea, Feldman apparently convinced Fred Jackson to take out a loan against his chain of car washes to use as a licensing fee, to try to convince an executive at Fox to let them license Star Wars characters for use in their film.
Everybody just sort of assumed it never happened because, again, if you look at the historical cycle of blaxploitation, it peaked in about 73, 74. By 75, it was dying down. By 77, it was pretty much done. So to find somebody who would be willing to invest the money into making this movie would have been really, really hard because they were spending less and less money. And so you get a guy like Fred Jackson who comes along, and he basically bankrolled this thing on his own.
While Star Wars had been an instant hit, there were no definite plans for a sequel until well into 1978. Second, George Lucas did not have complete control over the rights to Star Wars at the time. In 1977, Fox famously licensed Lucas' creation for a project that resulted in the disastrous Star Wars Holiday Special, which aired on network television in November 1978 and would go on to become an embarrassment to all involved and was universally dismissed by Lucas.
I started realizing maybe there was this sort of circuit that was going on. These people had collaborated and they were trying to make some sort of, again, I assumed it had to just be a science fiction movie. I didn't think that it was actually a Star Wars movie.
1 week before shooting was to begin, Fink and Jackson had a huge disagreement about the script, with Fink wanting to include some softcore sex scenes. Jackson was committed to making a movie that young people could see, and as a result, Fink walked off the project. After Fred Jackson passed away, Marcus was sorting through his father's belongings when he came across a box filled with a fantastic treasure.
Finding that stuff, I mean, like you said, I mean, it did help put two and two together. I mean, it just clicked instantly. Really realized, what everything had been about.
Marcus's discovery went a long way to prove that his father had in fact tried to make a black Star Wars film.